This episode of Capes and Lunatics is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. Get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
This is Luca Perich, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
Recording has started. Hello and welcome, dear listeners and viewers on the tube of you. Welcome once again to Super Connectivity. I'm your host, Charlie, the Professor Esser. And with me, as always, is the blue-eyed bomber from the Burg of Pits,
Phil, Filmy, and Perich.
Thank you, Philip, for joining us once again on another amazing trip into all that is and all that was and all that may yet be and how it all connects back together. Even better than the Pixar theory, which never worked out, quite frankly. Let's be honest here. It was never going to be what they wanted it to be. But something did happen this week that was very exciting and not metaphysically insignificant. Do you know what that was, Philip?
We talking the Loki thing?
We're talking Loki! The trickster god himself. Time travel shenanigans personified. And what did he say he was doing, Phil? What is the new thing? Wednesdays.
Yes, Wednesdays
are the new Fridays. And do you understand the metaphysical, religious significance of that statement?
I don't know about the religious.
What is Wednesday? Wednesday is Woden's Day.
Oh.
The day of Odin, and he has stolen his father's seat. He says, "This is my throne. Wednesday. I, Loki, son of Laufey." Maybe son of Freya, we don't know. And definitely adopted son of Odin has taken the throne of Odin. And Wednesday is now Loki's seat, from which he shall rule with glorious purpose, of which he has been burdened with.
Hey, I'm just glad we're getting it 2 days earlier than we were getting it to. Now it's June.
Well, yeah.
June 11th, yeah.
You know, people get antsy. You know, I heard someone say, "Oh, they moved it up so it wouldn't conflict with Black Widow," but Black Widow's pushed to July.
Yeah, July.
If I recall. Yeah, so it's like, no, they just wanted to have Loki 2 days early, and that worked out well for everyone considered. You know.
So, yeah, I'm wondering. Did you happen to notice? I'm going to try to look this up now. It was how many episodes Loki's going to be?
No, I actually don't know. And you know, I'm sure it's going to be like 6 or 8 again. I don't expect it to be more. I'm sure it will be less than they intended, and more than we deserve. You know, it's that's what it comes down to. You know, the COVID screwed up everyone's schedule. You know, as I've said, I do think a lot of the things everyone says, "Oh, they changed the story because of COVID." It's like, yeah, they changed the story because of COVID, not to change the story, but just because they didn't have enough time to shoot as much as they wanted to. You know, I think that's really what the story is there.
Okay, if the Wikipedia is right, it's saying 6 episodes.
Yeah, so 6 episodes, that's fine. It'll get us through till July, and then we get Black Widow. Now, interestingly, that means that the Black Widow assembled comes before the Loki assembled. Interesting. Are we going to get an assembled on Loki, or is there more to tell on the tale of Loki? I don't know. But I'm excited about it. You know, I still say the villainess is going to be, of course, Morgan Le Fay. And I get what everyone says about, oh, it could be the Enchantress, it could be Lady Loki. But to me, Morgan Le Fay seems like the obvious choice. especially since no one is thinking about it. Because I do think we often overlook the choices that aren't obvious,
Mm-hmm.
And when they have someone be in it and they say, "Oh, who could it be?" Morgan Le Fay is pretty up there with time traveling supervillains,
Mm-hmm.
like almost on par with Kang as far as time traveling supervillains go, and is a magic user, so would explain why they have to bring in Loki. And for what it's worth, is just a interesting counterbalance to Loki without actually requiring it to be another Asgardian. And that's the thing. It's like all the Asgardians arguably were in are in New Asgard on some level or another,
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not we've met Lorelei or not is debatable, but these are the things that we're looking at. And so I have to think that it's much more likely that we're going to get a Morgan Le Fay in this situation than either Lady Loki or an Enchantress.
But they might have moved that for Black Widow because if I counted on the calendar right, that week Black Widow comes out should be like episode 5, I think. So maybe they didn't want episode 5 and Black Widow dropping on the same day.
I mean, it's recorded. It's
I know, but they want those down. They want to be say, "Hey, oh look, 5 million people stream this day."
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. Well, but you usually worry about that for the first episode, not the last episode. By the last episode, we're all in the zeitgeist. We've had our Saturday Night Live sketches. Everyone, Tom Hiddleston has already hosted. We've had our gags. So, I don't know if, but either way, I personally actually think that it might have more to do with the idea of
well, maybe they want
expanding their schedule, because you see, eventually they're going to have to start having shows drop on the same day.
Yeah.
Or like shows coming out at the same time. And they want to say, hey, can we have a Wednesday show and maybe there'll be a Friday show too?
Well, maybe they want like a clean read because that's Black Widow is going to be the first MCU movie to, be hybrid Disney Plus and in the theater. So maybe they want some clean numbers. They could say, okay,
of
so
course,
Loki's
they
can take a read of it. Say, okay, we got so many people, came here Friday for Black Widow.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, that's a good counter argument as well, Phil. But I'm excited about Loki. What am I not excited about? There's nothing on the Marvel slate that I'm not excited about. And for what it's worth, even though I knew early on that was going to be a train wreck, I was still hopeful for Inhumans. But every so often, just around the premiere date, I see my little posts on Facebook memories. Like, hey, remember when you said, "Oh, I'm really worried about Inhumans"? Yeah, I remember that. Anyway,
but yeah, Black Widow's in July 9th, and then beginning of September. So 2 months later, we get Shang-Chi.
Oh yeah, well that's the whole thing. That's what we got in our Marvel Sizzle Week reel.
Yeah,
which is actually titled "Marvel Loves the Movies," but not everybody is down with reading the show notes, apparently.
So we had a bad year for no Marvel movies last year, but this year, man, we're backing them up, man. They got one and another one.
Because it's actually kind of interesting, but almost a little bit problematic because they're going to be dropping all this stuff that they've had on back order for so long, and then when they actually run through it, like now we're just going back to regular schedules, and like no, we need more Marvel. You can't just turn the spot on and then turn it off. What do you mean? It's like
but you think people are going to be like, oh yeah, we need 4 movies a year now if you're dropping series on Disney Plus every couple months?
Yeah, I think they're still going to want their 4 movies a year. Well, I think they're going to want a movie. Honestly, I think you could even get in 6 movies a year if you really wanted to. I think if you really wanted to go to wartime production,
but
Disney could just take it all You
I
know?
mean, that would be fine with me. But
If
again,
you can keep the quality up, that's the thing. It's like, would they want to invest to keep the quality up?
but again,
And is there a law of diminishing returns?
it's Disney too, so they might want to make some room for Star Wars. You know, they don't want Marvel competing with Star Wars.
Oh yeah, well exactly. Well, that's always the secondary question, because we do have Bad Batch,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually haven't gotten the chance to watch it yet. Yeah, I mean, I do
good,
want to watch it.
Yeah, I've seen good reviews of it.
Yeah, although apparently there is some issue that they have kind of moved away from the Kiwi origins that they've kind of made them. Oh, well, you kind of made those guys a little lighter skinned, haven't you? And another character who was voiced, I want to say, by Freddie Prinze Jr. kind of got a little like a lot of characters got a little bit less melanin in the Bad Batch, and there's some controversy about it. Not a lot, not enough that we're not quite pearl clutching, but like if you go into the deeper stories that are out there, you're like, oh, okay, so Disney has heard people complaining and is now looking to say, hey, who authorized this new color print? Who approved the palette for this show? Because that guy might be in trouble, or that woman might be in trouble. No, we won't be sexist on that, but someone might be in trouble for approving a color palette on the characters that, went a little lighter in the Pantone. So that's a story yet to be seen. But we can imagine that we may see some quick digital color swatching back to what it was supposed to be. In future episodes. But, controversies are controversial, Phil.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what they do. And the big thing in Marvel right now is, speaking of Disney and Star Wars, and now Marvel, is apparently in Brazil, Disney Plus has reclassified Marvel Television and the Marvel Fox properties under a different category called Marvel Legacy. And Legacy should be familiar to all the Star Wars fans out there, because when Disney bought Star Wars and they got their Bible in order, they made a simple statement that everything prior to the movies is now considered legacy, which, contrary to popular belief, does not mean non-canonical. It means apocryphal. And that's an important distinction I think people misunderstand. So if you're a student of lore, really lore in general, but any kind of canonized lore like the Bible, you have what are canonical books and apocryphal books. And interestingly enough, depending on which Bible you get, some books in the Bible are actually apocryphal in other Bibles. So the King James Version of the Bible does not have the same books as the Roman Catholic Bible. And I'm sure the Greek Orthodox Bible has some differences, and I'm sure as you go through all of the different branches, there are a bunch of different groups. And this goes back to any legalistic religious tradition where there is a lot of writing. That there are books that are canonical, which means that these are books that have a statement that has been approved by the hierarchy. Then you have books that are apocryphal, which are books that may or may not be approved by the hierarchy, may have things of value in them if you are a studier of the evolution of this lore, but also may be outright blasphemous. And there's no real differentiation, because obviously there's a lot of different people making a statement as to what is what. But in the case of the Star Wars and the Marvel Apocrypha, just because something is Apocrypha doesn't mean it didn't happen. And we see that with the Star Wars Legacies, where characters who were considered legacy characters are now being brought into the mainstream Star Wars universe. And I think that's what we're seeing here. It is that the Apocrypha of Marvel, which is Netflix, which is Cloak and Dagger, which is the Fox X-Men Fantastic Four. If they're going to bring these things in and they don't reintroduce them as a new idea, this Apocrypha is going to inform that. And how it's going to be presented to us is going to be within the concept that we understand there is a history. And the best example of this, I think, is Ed Norton's Incredible Hulk, where it's never directly referenced. It's never said to be canon per se, although parts of it seem to be canon. But they're just saying, look, understand it exists. We acknowledge it. But you can't say that something that happened in that is going to be exactly how we approach it in other versions of the story.
I always thought it's like multiverse. It's in the multiverse somewhere.
Don't go into the multiverse, because to me that's a DC cop out.
Well, I mean, again,
it's like, that was pre-crisis. This is post-crisis. It's like, no,
it happened. It's still there. It's just in the multi. I mean, again, let's wait till Doctor Strange 2 see what they do there.
Well, I mean, and obviously there is a multiverse, and there will be what if worlds.
Mm-hmm.
But as we approach, and here's the thing about any what if world. There's actually more the same in a what if world than is just completely tossed out in a what if world. So, yeah. So even if you say, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was what if Coulson lived, first off, that doesn't imagine that Coulson didn't live. It's just a what if world.
Mm-hmm.
But then all the things that happened in that what if world also existed in the regular world. So, Inhumans still exist. And Coulson still exists. And Melinda May still exists, and all these characters still exist. And how Hydra infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. still exists. All these things are still reality, but maybe how they played out is a little different. So that's a possibility if you want to go into those what if worlds. And then they could restructure Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as a canonical what if, which means everyone in those universes can still come into the MCU and have much of their backstory intact. That's the thing. And I don't think they're going to reintroduce the Inhumans for Ms. Marvel. I think there's going to be this idea that, there is this Inhuman gene, that there are Inhumans in the universe. I think they're going to keep Ms. Marvel an Inhuman. I don't think they're going to reintroduce a new royal family for this, Because that's the thing.
I'm just waiting for the storyline in the comics. Wait, you think you're an Inhuman? No, you're not. You're a mutant.
No, because honestly, mutants are even more toxic than Inhumans. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to be. Because that's the thing. It's here's what it gets down to.
Like you said, are we going to reintroduce the Inhumans in the MCU? Because the X-Men are going to show up eventually.
And again, it's this idea that they're not already there.
Yeah.
Because that's sort of this thing. It's like, you know what? Luke Cage can be constantly existing in Harlem as Luke Cage, just as we saw him at the end of the last season of Luke Cage, without any disruption to the larger Marvel Cinematic Universe. They don't go to Harlem. They don't have to see Luke Cage. Luke Cage doesn't have to come into the story in any way, per se. Likewise with anyone else. I mean, they may bring in D'Onofrio's Kingpin, but they don't have to.
Yeah, the Fantastic Four and the X-Men can be out there. I mean, that's Marvel's big advantage. One of their big advantages over DC. It's like, I mean, Age of Ultron, we heard the story of Wanda and Pietro, and that the bombs that killed their parents and stuff. And then WandaVision, we got it fleshed out. We actually saw this thing happen.
Well, exactly, and that's the thing is like we can go back, and this is what I would like to say, that's the difference between a retcon and a parallel universe or just a ignoring of history. That what a retcon is, and this is what happens in comic books, because comic books are by their nature meant to be an unreliable narrator, because they are the comic book stories told to Marvel Comics by the heroes themselves. It's a very multi-layered meta commentary, but the idea is, we know you think this is what happened. Here's what really happened. And one of the best examples of this is when they brought back Sharon Carter. And suddenly, she didn't die. She didn't burst into flames. She actually was abandoned by S.H.I.E.L.D. and was lost in, behind enemy lines. And she doesn't, she is now done a heel turn, which of course sounds familiar to people, all these things happened, but what we understood to have happened isn't what we thought happened.
I mean, I was thinking about this even today. You may be right. I mean, Sharon may not be full evil. She might just be trying to build her own thing, because maybe she knows the Skrulls are coming, or maybe she knows some threat is coming, and she's just like, you know what, I have to build something that's going to stand, because half the Avengers are dead. I got to, and what are these current governments going to be doing? What's the U.S. government going to do? They're going to throw John Walker in an alien invasion? Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of things. There could be deeper things, and that, of course, goes into your greater villain theories. If the Mandarin is going to be our greater villain, if they're going to recast the Mandarin into that Fu Manchu role, which it seems is what they're doing. They're merging the Fu Manchu and the Mandarin to take all of your crazy racist stereotype yellow peril things and just mush them into one character that they can give a nice redemption arc to. That's what they're looking for. That's what they want. And that may be part of building to Phase 4. And I think within that concept, what you might see in Phase 4 is this idea of building out that secret organization, that 10 Rings, Hydra, Shield in the East, Spear in the West. Oh, sorry, Shield in the West, Spear in the East. Idea of this ancient order and this ancient brotherhood, and how, since the West has failed, now we're going to try and build out what the defense this world needs from what's coming next. And then when you get to the Fantastic Four, that's going to be the big redemption of, no, see, you just need a rock guy, a stretchy guy, a fire guy, and a lady who has hyperspace manipulations of reality, and that's how you defeat the coming threat.
Yeah.
That's the other option. But I also think that there's other aspects to it. Like I said, I do think the cheat code idea is going to be a part of it, that if you establish both the heroes and the villains as tech-based, suddenly you have all the cheat codes to turn off any of them when they go rogue. Because that's always the problem with super soldiers, is if they go rogue, what do you do now? You can't turn off super soldier serum. Although arguably developing super soldier serum is an important first step to figuring out how to turn it off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look what the Dora Milaje did to Bucky.
Exactly. Well, exactly. Because being a super soldier isn't all that at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, he had that cyborg arm. She hit the thing, and boop, there he goes. He's lost one arm.
Yeah, well, exactly, and that too, yes, and of course, important to note, now Captain America's suit is made by Wakanda.
Oh yeah, yep.
So if Captain America ever steps up to Wakanda, they can bleep bloop bloop, and wings fall off. Although arguably he knows that now. And maybe he's the one that's going to be proactive on that. and go.
How great would the scene with that would be if they tried to shut him down and he was like, "Oh no, you think I didn't have people looking in the, you think I didn't look through this thing, from head to toe? No, I
Yeah.
know. I saw your back door. You think I didn't see what you did to Bucky? No, I was watching."
Exactly, and that's when Bentley Whitman comes in, because he's going to be the guy who cracks the codes. Because it's always, how do you introduce these characters? And that's a perfect way for the Wizard to come into the story. Because I just want him to be just such an arrogant showman. Because, like Arcade, but not stupid. Because that's the Wizard to me. It's like, he's not even a supervillain because he wants to, steal stuff or conquer the world. He just wants everyone to recognize how cool he is. Look at how great I am. I am the Wizard. And if we all just said, yes, Wizard, you're so great. You're so smart. He would, not commit a single crime. Yes, thank you. That's all I wanted. Why was that so hard for you people? That's my Bentley. Anyway. Yeah, so what's going to happen with the legacies? What's going to happen with anything else? We're going to have to see. And I don't think anything is off the table. I think that's the truth of it, is I really don't think anything is off the table. I don't think Feige is going to try and rebuild the wheel. I think there's going to be times where he's going to say, are we going to get Luke Cage back? Are we going to get Jessica Jones back? And he's going to say, do we need Jessica Jones for this? Do we need Luke Cage for this? Do we need Iron Fist for this? If we do need it, do we want to bring it back as a different actor? What do we want to change? And that's the thing. They've already recast both Rhodey and Bruce Banner.
Exactly.
So it's not like it's not like even if they recast Luke Cage, that it necessarily means that Netflix history is gone. And for what it's worth, they're eventually going to be recasting probably Chadwick Boseman. So when you recast that Black Panther, they bring back T'Challa and he has a different face. Suddenly we're saying, we're going to bring people back and they might have different faces.
Do you have to bring him back? Because they said the sequel, what is it? World of Wakanda, or no, Wakanda Forever.
Wakanda Forever, yeah, it's called Wakanda Forever, and there will be a World of Wakanda series as well.
Yeah,
and they're going to bring him back because he's too valuable of a character to leave dead.
I know, but I was just, I at least for a while, I wonder if the sequel is going to be, is it going to be Shuri trying to take the throne, and some of these old-fashioned people being like, we're going to let this girl child take our throne, and it's her.
And what I'll tell you is that what you're going to have is you're going to have an entire Phase 4 to talk about it, and by the time we get to Wakanda Forever, you're going to start having the hints about what has happened to King T'Challa.
Yeah.
What has happened? What are we going to do? Where's King T'Challa? And then if we get a hint of T'Challa's return, not actually see who it is, but we get the hint that he is coming back, we're going to be excited for it at that point. Because the disappearance of King T'Challa may be something that is referenced in, say, something like Shang-Chi. You may just see a little blurb, an HINN blurb. I think that's the name of the thing. It's like King T'Challa of Wakanda still missing. Unseen in 40 days. Whatever it's going to be.
I just wondered if maybe for a while we would just have Shuri as the Black Panther for a while, because I love the character of T'Challa, but Wakanda in 5 years they survived for 5 years without T'Challa.
Well, exactly. And, here's the thing. It's, how do you approach it? I do think that there is a strong argument to be made that recasting T'Challa eventually makes sense. That's always the thing with this whole MCU experiment, is unlike comic books, these are not, all these actors are going to continue to age.
Exactly.
And some are going to, unfortunately, pass away. And how do you approach that? Do you just keep this universe and then just build up our legacies? How do we keep it moving forward? Do we eventually say we have to just trash it all and reboot? Does any of that ever actually work in the long run for for the thing. Honestly, I'm sure they could do an official reboot at some point, and who knows? Maybe that's what happens at the end of Phase 4.
But again,
is we get a reboot, and then we go back to the first heroes, the Fantastic Four, the first family.
I don't think we have to do that for a while. But I mean, yeah. I mean, they could always recast T'Challa at any point because advanced Wakanda technology. His face gets messed up, and they give him a new face or something. Yeah, I mean,
you don't even have to mention it. Honestly, that's the thing. Is I think no one mentioned when Terrence Howard turned into Don Cheadle.
Yeah, but that was at the beginning too. I don't know if they even knew back then that by Iron Man 2 that this thing was gonna have the legs it had.
No, true, but at the same time, I mean, generally speaking, if you think about any historical recasting, do they hang a lampshade on it? I mean, almost never. Almost never do they say we've recast this part. The only thing I can think of is once in Dream On, they had a thing when they recast his best friend. One was Ernie Hudson. I can't remember who the other guy was, but when he comes back, he's like, "Yeah, I just had an eye lift," and they take off the bandage. Man, no, you look completely different. It's like, I said, man, I think I look different. Oh, you look exactly the same, just younger. And it's that's how it goes sometimes. So how they deal with it, we'll see.
I just thought it was interesting for a while to show, maybe their mother takes the throne again for a while, but it's like, wow, she's being the Black Panther, show Shuri having to train to be the next ruler of Wakanda. I mean, when we met T'Challa in Civil War, I mean, we met him for 5 minutes, then boom, his father's dead and he's the king all of a sudden.
Well, I guess maybe what is the real point in that story is that the heart-shaped herb, the heart-shaped herb was lost. And that's actually an interesting thing because there seems to be this implication that the role of the Black Panther is not necessarily tied to the role of the king.
Yeah.
Because the king was the king and maybe he was the Black Panther, but now T'Challa was the Black Panther.
Yeah.
And that's sort of becoming the regent and the heir apparent. But if the heart-shaped herb has been destroyed, this is one of the things, to me, the best use of this missing thing is he has to go to the realm of the dead. And in the realm of the dead, that's where he finds the secret of the heart-shaped herb. So that Shuri maybe has to be the Black Panther, but she has to be a tech-based Black Panther.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's no heart-shaped herb to power her. And she can do that because she has the technology. She can even have her whole thing, relying on these ancient mystic arts is foolish when I can do it all better with my mind. And that becomes its own antagonism which it was in the series as well, in the comic book series. So the idea that there is no more heart-shaped herb, T'Challa has gone to find it because T'Challa wants to keep the tradition, but in order to do this, he must leave. And maybe Shuri knows, but she has to keep this a secret from everyone else. Because she can't let everyone know, oh, he's gone to the realm of the dead to seek out this mystical understanding to how to bring the heart-shaped herb back, because presumably it doesn't grow wild anymore. That it was something that was cultivated, because it was cultivated in a dark cave, which actually suggests that it's some sort of a mushroom rather than an actual photosynthetic plant. Definitely bioluminescent. So there's a lot to this plant. Or I forget what they call the kingdom of mushrooms, because it's not the vegetable kingdom. It's actually its own thing. Mushrooms. So,
well, I mean, isn't it just finding the right formula to infuse vibranium into the soil? Or because isn't that where those heart-shaped herbs came from? Is after that,
but the thing is that it was apparently cultivated after that. So that's the thing. It's there's this whole process that occurs that they now have to recreate from scratch.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same thing as with the super soldier serum.
Yep.
You had the super soldier serum, and then the person who understood it is dead. And exactly how it works isn't quite understood. It's like it was one of these things where we knew it worked, but we didn't know how it worked. And recreating a formula wouldn't be as hard as figuring out why the formula actually worked. And that's the difficulty that everyone's trying to work through now, is the idea, you know. So, I mean, I of course loved everything he did with Captain America and the Super Soldier Serum over the years. So I'm good with that. Philip, you want to talk some comics before we get out of here? Because we're already at 35 minutes. Okay, I got all Marvel books now, and I'm excited. Let's get the first one out of the way. The Union. I think this is its last issue. Maybe not. I don't know.
What is that, number 5?
Number 5. Mystical artifact. One of the 700 stones that gives you nigh omnipotent powers. Always remember, kids, nigh means not. Darwin gets the Empire Stone. He starts talking big. Then, find out that Britannia exists as a ghost because she is the spirit of England. And she will be there in our darkest hour. And so that gets a little... we're not quite sure what happens with that, but everyone gets together. Snakes, bees, snakes. There's a whole, they're all monsters scene. But, monsters can be heroes. So, and then our little shapeshifter character becomes the evil Corgi. Steals it from Doc Croc and swallows it, which he eventually poops out and leaves at 10 Downing Street. And that's the end of the story. I mean, it's an enjoyable romp, honestly. Here's what I'll say: if you like, I don't want to say Doctor Who, but if you liked Torchwood, it might be a lot of fun. I did enjoy the Union. I always like whenever they explore superhumanity outside of New York City. I just wish you could get a more fleshed out understanding than just, hey, here's some superheroes who exist elsewhere.
Yeah.
Bye. It's like when the Thing went to Paris and he met the Justice League. They're like the French Justice League, and they have their own supervillains and they have their own ways of doing things. Sort of like when the Tick went to Antwerp. It's interesting and it's fun, but at the same time, it also, I'd like to know more about how that universe works. But anyway, give me a book, Phil. What book did you read this week that you want to tell the world about?
Well, maybe we'll save the big one for last. Immortal Hulk 46.
Oh, Immortal Hulk. No Doc Langowski in this. Although, and again, it's one of these weird things. It's like Langowski, like, hey, man, I'm glad I'm not a big hairy dude no more.
I know, just runs on Samson's body. I know.
Yeah, I mean, you can argue, well, no, I had to get out of there, man. I was, you guys weren't around. What do I know what's going on? Now Joe is Cosmic Ray powered, which is an interesting turn.
Oh, yeah, Cosmic Joe just smacking the UFOs around.
Yeah, I don't like them being mean to poor Ironclad, man.
The guy crushes his head.
It's just weird, man. It's like, dude, that's just dark. And,
And again,
it just makes him a sadist. And that's like, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like sadist Hulk.
Is that maybe purposely a little bit because Banner's not in there?
Banner's always in there.
Okay. The part that thinks it's Bruce Banner. Okay. Okay, let me just say this: half his mind is missing.
I don't even know what that means. That's the thing. It's like I don't even know what that means. I don't even know. It's like this is where Doc Samson would be really helpful. It's like, what are you talking about?
Okay,
like, this is why we got the freaking ringmaster in here the last time, because you were just so effed up in your own head. You don't even know what's going on in your brain, man.
Basically, half his psyche is missing.
Yeah, and it's not even But here's the thing. It's like, Joe was never a sadist.
No.
And that's the thing. It's like it's an embrace of sadism that I'm not comfortable with.
I don't know. During Acts of Vengeance, man, he broke Grey Gargoyle's arms, I believe.
First off, breaking a person's arms is not the same as breaking their brain.
Yeah.
And that's really the implication here, that he's like crushing his brain. And yeah, maybe he'll get better, because obviously people get better in these universes as needed. But
well, like Joe even said, he's like, "Are you solid metal through and through, or do you got like a squishy center?"
Yeah, it's not cool. And for what it's worth, he could have broken his arms and had effectively the same effect.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a needlessly cruel aspect of it.
But again, they seem to since issue 1 they love their body horror in this series.
Yeah, and it's really the thing I hate most about it. It's like, okay, I get it. You like to draw that, okay, and we get that again at the very end. And again, it's like the whole Thor just picks a fight. It's like, who is this Thor? This doesn't. It's like it doesn't feel like Thor. Nobody feels like who they are. Even the Hulk doesn't feel like who he is. Everyone feels off to me.
And again, since when again did the Avengers just like drop everything when Gyra calls anymore? Wouldn't they just be like? I mean, it is the Hulk. I mean, I guess they think he's a.
Yeah, but when have they never just came in guns blazing at the Hulk either?
I know.
Invariably, always it would have been Cap coming in and saying, "Hey Hulk, how you been?" And he's like, "I'm Joe." It's like, "Okay, Joe, good to see you again. How are you doing, Joe?"
I mean, unless they heard what happened to the UFOs, and they were like you, they're like, "Why did he crush?"
No, they know who the UFOs are.
I'm just saying, they're like, he crushed the guy's head.
Are we supposed to take from this that now, like, the leaders in freaking Betty Banner's harpy body?
Oh, I thought that was just Betty coming to help Hulk.
But she's got the whole long head thing now.
Again,
because we know. I know, but we also know that that's like supposed to be a thing with this. It's like, oh, when the leader's in you, you start doing that whole body horror.
Yeah.
Like I said, it just seems lazy at this point. It's the kind of stuff that it's like at a certain point, I'm like, okay, I get you have a thing you're doing. And it starts to turn me off from the book. It's like, I don't feel like this is telling a story worth telling anymore. I don't think that the visual storytelling is actually helping you tell the story. I kind of feel it's falling apart. Mm-hmm. Personal opinion. Everyone's mileage varies.
Well, I mean, it's one thing if you have the Avengers come in once swinging, but again, we did this towards the beginning of this series, and now the Avengers are back, guns blazing again.
Exactly. And it's like, not for nothing, there's like it's a little out of character for the Avengers. It's a little out of character. It's a little out of character for Cap,
Yeah. But again, and is Joe like power drunk or something? Because I don't want Cosmic Joe. I want regular Joe. Who has to be a little craftier because he is just the tiniest bit weaker than the Green Hulk.
Well, yeah, but now he feels like strong again, except because he's got his
yeah,
and of course, I like that. That's like that, and it's like these things. There's things I like.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like there are things I like that they've integrated into the Marvel Universe cosmology. Mm-hmm. But I don't always like the way that they do it. So, like the idea of cosmic radiation and gamma radiation, which, fun fact, are actually the exact same thing, being like opposite ends of the same spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fun comic booky idea.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea that we're gonna open it up to be this idea that it's. It's a fun idea. I don't like how it's executed. And like along those same lines, the idea that, superheroes become what they have in their brain. That's from a what if that really, it doesn't work very well. That's where like, Johnny Storm became a cyborg because he liked mechanics, and Reed Richards just became a giant brain. and Ben Grimm became Dragonfly because he always wanted to fly, and Sue Storm became the stretchy woman because she always had to form herself into whatever shape people needed her to be. And it works, and then it works when you go back with the original versions. But then it's like, okay, I like that, but I don't like the way it was executed. I don't like the way they're executing the ideas in this.
Yeah.
And again, I think the reliance on body horror definitely doesn't help.
I mean,
it doesn't help.
I guess Black Panther tries to talk Hulk down at the end because he says, last time was regrettable, but we can't allow your chaos to go unchecked. See reason. And that's when Harpy shows up.
Yeah, but even then, he's saying there's so many of us and there's only one of you, as if that's ever the way to talk down the Hulk.
I know. I mean, when John Byrne was writing the book, how many Avengers did he take down? 2 teams.
He took down all of them.
Hercules and Wonder Man are on this team. Yeah, East and West Coast Avengers. Yeah,
I know. It's like, yeah, and that was even the weaker Hulk. That was even the Hulk who has a limit.
No.
So it's like, yeah, it's ridiculous that the Avengers would act this stupid, and it's intentional stupidity in a book, and I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, Captain America and Black Panther are probably the 2 of the greatest strategists in the Marvel universe. We're just like, yeah, let's hit them some more.
I'm just saying it's no 0 point Batman. Doesn't have that intellectual level, and that is where Immortal Hulk is at right now. And I got sour on Immortal Hulk before. It's like, and I'm realizing, he has like 3 good issues and then 6 bad.
Oh,
yeah, okay, I see what he's doing now.
Yeah, there are dips, and yeah.
It's definitely up and down.
It's like a roller coaster.
Has some good ideas, and then he has a lot of bad ideas.
Well, I guess, there's only his run ends at 50, so he's got like 4 more issues. Did you see, I guess, for the free comic book day issue, I guess there's going to be a Hulk story in there. And I guess they said Chip Zdarsky, who's writing Daredevil, is going to be writing the Hulk story. So everyone's speculating now. Is like, is Chip going to be the next Hulk writer?
Well, that would be great. Chip's a good writer.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, I love what Chip has done. I think he's a guy who understands how comic books work and how comic book characters' stories should go. So.
Oh yeah, I love his work too. So but everyone's speculating because he's writing the Hulk story in the free comic book day too.
I remember, I really started to sour on Pack when he was writing Hulk too. It's like, I think everyone is like, I think Hulk is a hard book to write for a long time.
Long term, yeah. I mean, there's only a few people that are done it, like Peter David.
Yeah, you've got to be really willing to.
And even Peter David switched it up. I mean, he did Grey Hulk, he did Joe for a while, and then he went to Professor Hulk and did that.
Well, and what he did was he understood levels of Hulk.
Yeah.
And then he built his levels of Hulk, and then he just told different Hulk stories as he wanted to go. It's like, okay, because you can't tell one Hulk, and you can't do a grand unified theory of the Hulk and have it be an ongoing, because the Hulk is by his nature a disjointed character.
Yeah,
he has to be Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He has to be both Banner and the Hulk, and you can make as many Hulks as you want. Hey, here's a fun idea. How come there aren't more Banners?
Ooh.
And for what it's worth, Little Joe, that was like a great opportunity to say, I'm Joe Banner. I'm one of the other Banners. I'm David Banner. You think the Hulks are complex? No. This goes all the way down. And there's a dozen Banners who come out as needed. You ever, that's why you sometimes get kind of in shape, comfortable, relaxed Banner, and then sometimes you get total nerd, big, thick glasses, skinny Banner, because there's different Banners for every occasion.
I mean, I think David did that during Peter David's run. It's like later on, like towards the end of the Grey Hulk stuff, like I think Betty even mentioned, she goes, why do you look different? I mean, it might have just been a different artist, but, I think it was along the lines of like, oh, hey, Banner and the Hulks are coming together. So, he's looking
like
like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah.
Peter David may not respect my thoughts, but I still respect his. Yeah, that's just the truth of it. I really think that, I think that you could do a lot more with exploring all the different banners, and maybe that's like the missing piece that would really make the banner stories much more interesting. If you really just started to look at it from that way, because the idea of, oh, they took the banner away from the Hulk, but he's still this person. It's like you're and granted, we're talking magic stuff, but what does that even mean?
Yeah.
It's like if you had to say, what does that mean to say they took the banner out of the Hulk and the Hulk's still there and the banner's still there? You're kind of opening up this. You're creating this very big open space of what are we really talking about?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was thinking about that the other day too. Yeah, that story where they separated Hulk and Banner, and it's like you say, they're basically the same person. So basically, all they're doing is ripping them person in half. So they each entity only had half their supposed molecules. So of course they had to recombine them.
Yeah. Okay. I want to give a quick shout out to War of the Bounty Hunters,
Ooh.
Star Wars, Boba Fett Black Armor Edition cover. This is the War of the Bounty Hunters. This is basically a funny thing happened on the way to Jabba's palace. And the idea is that after Boba Fett has Han Solo, he's got to go down to this. He realized that all of a sudden that the carbonite isn't holding, it starts to melt.
Oh, jeez.
And he's like, oh, man. Well, not for nothing. Those Imperials, they didn't know what they were doing. It was a shoddy thrown together carbonite thing. And I think he would have been so much happier. It's like, just let me take him. I got a cell. I'll put him in a cell. They know we must freeze him in carbonite. He's been dating my daughter. I don't like it. And, so he has to take him to a doctor, and he's one of this. He's a pretty cool species, the same species as the dino owner on Coruscant, and he's basically a doctor in this. And he says, "Yeah, I can fix it, but it's going to cost you." He's like, "Man, I don't got the cash, but I'm good for it." It's like, dude, I know you, and you know that I know you, so that's why I need to be paid up front. But they work out this. It was like, look, I want you to kill this person. And if you kill her in the arena, then it's perfectly straight and legal and it's all cool. And you do that for me, I'll do this for you. So he goes ahead, he does it. He fights, they do the black armor because he paints his armor black. He tells him to call him Django. And he just goes and fights in the arena. Kills a bunch of beings, as you do, until he gets to the boss battle, where they, of course, have restructured the stadium to be at her advantage because she's a spider being, and so they made it all webs. But that doesn't stop him; he just still basically kills her. When he goes to leave, they basically say, "Hey, you collect your money." Or he says, you can't collect your money, you got to work for us now. And he says, nah, just keep the money. Because he wasn't really there for the money. He just wanted to get the freaking carbonite fixed. Mm-hmm. But while that is all going on, basically, a bunch of other bounty hunters come and kill the doctor and steal Han Solo. So now Boba Fett's got to go, dang it. Now he's got to go get his Han Solo back. And to me, this is just such a great setup for what I think is going to be such a fun romp through the Star Wars universe with just Boba Fett really just crushing every bounty hunter around him. This is where we're going to find out, Boba Fett was actually cool. He wasn't just a guy who fell into a Sarlacc pit. Awesome. Maybe that we're going to say he was just so exhausted by the time he got there. It's like, what? I got to go to the party barge. I am in no mood to go to the party barge. Okay, I'll go to the party barge, and that's when everything goes nuts.
All right, all right, you're killing me. Let's get to the main event.
Well, because I got two, but yeah.
Oh, well, I know the big one I'll talk about.
Because I got the Marvels.
Oh yeah, I didn't read that.
Marvel's is cool. Basically, you know how they did that whole completely restructured timeline?
Yeah.
And there's this Sing Kong world that is like all of the Southeast Asian battles that ever happened in all of history, but now it's in the Marvel universe. Yeah, so it takes place there. We get young Reed Richards and young Ben Grimm in the 19-somethings at some point. 17 years ago, whenever it was, I guess that was 2003 by this point, which, doesn't fit with the fact that the last time was clearly in the 1950s, but okay. Mm-hmm. And storyline. We're jumping all around. It's going to be fun. This is the thing that really struck me as super interesting. We got these, like, we have these new characters, Warbird, Threadneedle, and some other dude. They're going to be important. But next issue, where's the? Oh, there we go. Next issue, The Thing, The Human Torch, The Punisher, The Black Cat, Melinda May, and more. So, yeah, I enjoy the Marvels. If you like some weird historical, old school Marvel character reconcepts, this is fun. So, highly recommend it. It's a good story. Now, okay, I guess we get to the big one.
Heroes Reborn.
Number
1.
Numero uno, my friend. Coulson's president, so that's good. Thanos has his Infinity Rings, so that's a thing.
So it's like the only person who seems to remember the old world is Blade.
At the moment, yeah.
I wonder if is that because he's half vampire, because whatever's altered the world has gotten rid of the vampires.
Well, exactly. So
basically, he's a creature that shouldn't exist.
Exactly. And we can assume this is somehow Mephisto related. Coulson is president. American democracy has conquered the world, or at least good parts of it. And Dr. Doom has stolen the Juggernaut gem.
Cyttorak, yes.
The Cyttorak gem. And actually, what I like about this is that Hyperion can't quite disrupt it. He actually, Doom's got the upper hand on that one.
Well, I mean, if this is your Superman pastiche, Superman is vulnerable to magic.
One can argue that, yeah. We've got that, obviously, and that I love that, they've got our merged villains here. We've got the Venom Skull, the Black Skull as our Nighthawk villain's arch foe. I do like our Nighthawk here, and
they went so Batman with this, yeah.
Well, of course. I mean, that's who he is, Phil.
Oh yeah, but I mean, even more than usual. It seemed like, yeah.
Yeah. I also like our Tony Stark in this. Just Tony Stark who just wants to sell people bombs. Doc Spectrum is good in this too. That's always great. Our Green Lantern pastiche, and we've got our Blur versus the Silver Witch.
Yeah, because I guess Pietro. Her and Pietro never reformed when he was killed.
And so she's
allowed her to absorb his power. Yes,
exactly. Which is, I mean, it's such a great setup on every level. Everything about this, everything is changed just enough, but also has just enough stuff to keep it interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We do go back to Drunken Thor, which is a storyline they did in the Ultimates, if you recall.
Yep.
And they kind of draw him a lot like that's got some Liefeld vibes there, right there. The way they draw Thor. So, which again, also a Heroes Reborn thing. I'm sorry, I'm confusing Ultimates with the original Heroes Reborn, but yeah. The idea is very interesting there. We also get the fact that apparently in this universe, Blade and Nighthawk know each other.
Isn't at the point Blade says, he's like, "Wait, you remember me?"
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know what's going to happen, and then we get to the big reveal at the end. We get two big reveals. One is And I love it, but let's face it, they did it once before in Marvel Apes, where the guy remembers where the real Steve Rogers is to bring him back. And that's what Blade does. He goes, finds Steve Rogers, but then Thor finds his hammer.
Yep.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. I am not disappointed by this book in any conceivable way. I love it. I love Squadron Supreme to start with as these great pastiche characters that they have really fleshed out. Honestly, I just think Marvel should just do a Squadron Supreme film.
Are they still LMDs though? Because as I showed you, I got the trading cards.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone else, like the regular characters, Thor, Captain America, Blade, they all have like their original appearances, like Journey in the Mystery 83 and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Every member of the Squadron Supreme, it says first appearance, Avengers 10 from November 2018 or 2019. But yeah, when they revealed them to be LMDs and that, that storyline, that's first appearance for all the squadrons. So.
Well, and again, this goes into this weird thing. I think that, for what it's worth, Feige may be hemming and hawing about what he's going to include from the Marvel television universe. I think the Marvel comic writers have just embraced it. They're like, oh my gosh, what if LMDs were from the Darkhold? What if that was the whole idea? And that's like, oh, that's brilliant. And so the idea of Darkhold created LMDs that have superpowers, chef's kiss from a comic book writer's perspective. And so, maybe that's where they're going with it. And we've seen LMD Squadron Supreme characters before, but that were at the full power level, that's a new thing. But then again, we've seen the Skrulls do that where they've reproduced powers. We've seen this happen before, and so maybe it's happening again.
If it's supernatural, I mean, who knows what Mephisto can do?
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and maybe it's Mephisto and Chithon working together for once.
There you go.
Not for nothing, Mephisto needs allies. Dude lost his job.
Oh, he's willing to kiss some butt. Remember in Infinity Gauntlet, man? He was all up on Thanos. So he's like, "Oh yes, sir. Yes, don't snap me out of existence."
Well, exactly, because for what it's worth, he needs death, but he also needs life.
Mm-hmm.
That's the real sticky wicket of it for a guy like Mephisto. He needs to be playing both sides of the street.
Oh yeah,
because he only has value if there's death, but he also only has value if there's life. If everybody's dead, then okay, we're done. And it's just I guess I'll spin my wheel for eternity. That's no fun. It's like with that whole like non-universe that Korvac wants to make, where we're all just crystal cows. That doesn't sound fun.
No.
Anyway, Philip, a lot of good books, a lot of good things, everything we've enjoyed. Anything you want to say before we call it a night?
No, I think that's it.
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Philip?
I said I think that's it. What are
goodness, I don't always have the best headphones. Because I should probably go to tweakedaudio.com, get some tweaked audio headphones using the coupon code Southgate at checkout to get a great savings on fantastic headphones. Likewise, after that, I can use that same coupon code Southgate upon checkout and just get myself the Hunted Killer package from hunterkiller.com. Help Michelle Gray solve a cold case. It's like being in your own serial killer podcast. And get a great discount. Likewise, another thing I should do, I really need to, is go read Pod Life the book, which is available over on Amazon in both paperback and digital download. And the best way to get there is to go to our show notes, click on the link. Will cost you nothing, but actually helps the show out when you do that. And if anyone does any of that, Philip, and they want to reach out to you and talk to you about it, how can they do that?
They can get a hold of me and anyone else on the team at capesandlunatics@gmail.com or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. Or find links to everything we do, social media, Patreon, the YouTube, everything. Linktree, LANKTR.ee/capesandlunatics.
And of course, you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email with or Miles and Paz at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog all one word at gmail.com. And of course, follow me on the Twitters. I live tweet anything I feel like, but maybe Legends of Tomorrow, Sunday nights, at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle. For what?
Equality. Bing!
Thank you, Mas. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you have listened to another wonderful episode of Super Connectivity. Ran a little long, as we have been doing lately, but there's so much to cover. Thank you for connecting with us. Please super connect with us again next week. Good night.
Good night. No, we didn't go too long.
Yeah, I like that. I always dream of that day when we would just do that half-hour fun, compact podcast.
People, he sent me a list like so long, and he's like, "Yeah, we'll do that in a half hour."
I sent you 2 things, and we did one of them over on the other show.
Yeah, this week. Yeah,
I know. Well, it just because I never know what you're going to do on the other show, and that's my thing. And then we have to do comics there, and then we have to do comics here, and there's so many comics, Phil.